Hi everyone, today we are relating fractions, decimals, and percents. So percents is relatively new to most of you. You've probably heard it a lot, but are not all exactly sure what it is. So we are going to be working with percents today and making sure everybody has a good understanding of what that is. So to start off, I'm going to walk you through what percent is. So percent just means an amount out of 100. So as soon as I say an amount out of 100, you're probably already relating that to fractions. Out of 100 gives us a denominator of 100. So that's absolutely true, and hopefully that's going to simplify it for a lot of us since we already have a good understanding of fractions. So walking you through here, this is a hundredths grid. We've used it a ton. It has 100 small squares, and each of the little square, or the whole grid represents one whole, and each little part represents 1/100th. So when we look at this grid, there's 4 ways to describe the part of the grid that's blue. And after yesterday's work, the top 2, we've done a ton. So we could just say this in words. We could say 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55. So 55 out of 100 are blue. We could then write this as a fraction, saying 55 over 100. So numerator of 55, denominator of 100 of the grid is blue. We can say this as a decimal, and you got good at this yesterday, saying 55 hundredths of the grid is blue. And then finally, the new part today is the last part here, saying we could say 55% of the grid is blue. Why percent? Because that simply means an amount out of 100. So hopefully that makes good sense today, and it seems really easy. It is really easy. We're going to go on to talk about what happens, though, if we don't have a number out of 100. And this is where all our work with fractions is going to help pay off here. So let's start with the grid over here, and I'm going to ask the same question. The question is, which part of the grid is blue, and how can I explain that a number of different ways? So the first way I can do this is by putting in a text box and telling you in words. So we can see over here, they wrote 55 out of 100 squares are blue. I would say that 8 out of, and I know there's 5, 10, 15, 20, 8 out of 20 squares are blue. Now the second way is to write that as a fraction. So let's go in here to write my fractions with Equatio. 8 over 20 are blue. Let's insert that math. But then let's talk about what we did last day to help us out here. So 8 out of 20 is not the most helpful fraction to use for this. We would like to be able to express it as a fraction out of 10 or out of 100. So let's do both of those so we have them both handy. We know that if we divide the numerator and the denominator in half, we could rewrite this as an equivalent fraction of 4/10. That fraction is going to be much more helpful for us when we're converting to decimals and percents. The other way we can do this, and now that we have it as a fraction out of 10, is turn it into a fraction out of 100. So if I want this to be a fraction out of 100, I know that multiplying 10 times 10 is going to give me 100. So multiplying my denominator and numerator by 10 will give me 40 out of 100, or 40 hundredths. So I'm going to insert all of those fractions in here because they're going to be helpful as we go on and turn this into next, our decimal. So we can write this as a decimal, and I'm just going to insert a text box here for that, of 0.4. And just a reminder that that is the same thing as writing 0.40, 40 hundredths or 4/10. 4/10 is typically the way that we would see this written. And last but not least, we'll turn this into our percent. So when we write this as a percent, reminder that it is the same as a fraction out of 100. So this would be 40%. Awesome. So this step right here of equivalent fractions is going to help you a lot as you move on. It'll help you with things like if you only have 1 out of 2 parts, we know that that is the same as half, or 50 out of 100, or 50%. So you'll get a turn to practice this here. I have a few questions for you to follow up with, first using the hundredths charts, and then having to use equivalent fractions. I know you'll do awesome. Good luck with it.